Have you ever thought about getting a pool installed at your house? Did you ever think that you're gonna have somebody like me show up to figure out where your septic system is? Today we're gonna talk about that. This particular house is from 1988. They wanna get a pool installed, but they don't know exactly where the septic is, and the county won't let them break ground until somebody like me marks everything out so they know, hey, we have enough space for the reserve area, or you're not putting the pool directly on your drain fields. Believe it or not, people do that all the time. They're always putting their pools in their drain fields, which obviously is going to make it to where the drain fields aren't going to work because you just put a pool on top of it. The main issue is that people, when they're installing the pools, they hit the stone, they hit the pipes, and the pool guy's just like, screw it. I don't know what that pipe was for. Maybe it's your downspouts. Who knows? Water didn't come out of it. We're just going to keep digging and keep on going. Our counties require what's called a reserve area on septic systems. So basically what that means is you have to have enough space for at least 3 systems to go in because they all break. Every system will eventually break, and they don't want you to be up a creek without a paddle. So we usually will allocate about 10,000 square foot of the property as your reserve area. In this particular circumstance, we don't know exactly where it's at because the county records are lost to time. What this means is when the pool guy pulled the permit to put the pool in, the county said, uh-oh, we don't know what's there. So then now we're back to where we started, which is with me to figure out what we have, where it is, and then we can make some progress on this pool. So before we get too much further, let's go around back and take a look, see what we're actually working with. The very first thing we are going to see is our clean out right here and our manhole riser right there. This particular manhole riser is a little bit overgrown, so what we'll have to do is get the shovel to clean that off. The purpose of the clean out is so that way if you flush something down the toilet and it gets stuck on the inlet side, you can open that up and you can push whatever it is out of the way. Septic tanks are just a large concrete box. In the tank are these things called baffles. Essentially what they do in the front is slow everything down so that way the liquid's not kind of getting stirred up and the solids can fall out of suspension. There's another one in the rear, but that one's only job is to keep all the floating stuff from getting into the pipes and causing problems in the drain fields. The reason we put that PVC pipe in the front is because sometimes toilet paper can get stuck in that inlet baffle. Or if you're flushing flushable wipes, feminine products, stuff like that can also get stuck. This is a nice, easy way to go ahead and dislodge whatever is stuck in the pipe or stuck in the baffle. The manhole riser is there for maintenance and cleaning. That's going to be in the center of the tank. And the reason that's really good is that we can pump all 4 corners of the tank and get all of the solids out of the system, so that way you get less debris going into your drain fields. If you don't have one of these manholes, I strongly recommend you consider putting one of them on there because the maintenance difference is massive. Before we get too much further though, we have to pop these lids open, see what's inside. 1. And 2. When you look inside of the riser, you'll actually see a safety lid. That lid is in case for whatever reason you fall through this. This one will keep you from going in the septic tank. Now that we have the lids open, what we're going to want to do is take our probe and some flags, and we're going to mark out the tank. What we're going to be looking for are the edges, so that we can find the lid on the rear of the tank, so we can run the camera through the pipe to find the distribution box. What we're going to do, we know that the front's on that white pipe, the middle's on the riser, so the rear lid should be right here. So we're going to hit all 4 corners and dig right over here, and there should be a little tiny lid that we can pop right on open. So I'm going to get that dug up here real quick, and then I'll meet you here in a second. Now I've got the lid open, we need to figure out, is the baffle there? And where's the distribution box? But we do have a little bit of a problem. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this little guy is what the lid looks like. Just a little tiny square that fits into that hole. So inside of here is the outlet side. We have our outlet pipe on the back end. We have some nice scum in the front, and we should have a baffle in the middle. Unfortunately, that baffle is missing. So you see all that floating scum up top, that is able to potentially get into the outlet line, causing problems in the drain fields. If you look, you can actually see all of the debris working its way out of the tank and into the drain field. Over the course of a couple days, it's not that big of a deal. But if you go for a month, 10 years, now you might start running into some more problems. If that giant wad of scum works its way into the drain field, it could clog up the distribution box, causing liquid to go back to the house. What we need to do now is we need to take our camera, run it through that pipe, and figure out where the distribution box is. Using this locating wand, we're actually going to be able to figure out where the distribution box is with the radio on the end of the camera head.
Rigid.
Boom. When we're using that wand, what we're looking for is the 4 balls. If we get all 4 of the cardinal directions, that means we're dead center on where the camera hit is. How we confirm it is we take our probe and hit to see if we're actually hitting the distribution box. This probe's my go-to. Little TNT tools, not sponsored, but best tool in my toolbox. So now that we put the probe in the ground, we can hear that we're on top of the box. So what we'll do is we'll grab some flags, hit all 4 corners, and get this one dug up too. We've got the distribution box open. There's a little bit of a dig to get to it, but we got it open. Everything I'm seeing is original to the house. So remember, 1988, it's kind of old, but this distribution box has a little bit of a problem. Before we get into what the problem is, though, let's talk a little bit about what they do. Essentially, what will happen is you put water into the tank, the water will then go to the box. The box only job is to get the water into the drain fields evenly. I typically suggest that you get about a 20 to 30 year shelf life on them before you have to replace them, and this one is much older than that. So let's look and see what's wrong. So when we're looking inside the box, we can see our inlet side over here. We can see drain field and drain field. Now, if we look to the left of the first drain field and near the inlet line to the distribution box, we can see some roots and some dirt getting into the box. What this means is the box has run its course and it's time to get it replaced. Now remember, our objective is to locate and identify where stuff is, so that's a defect that we're going to tell them about. If they want to fix it, they can fix it. If they don't want to fix it, whatever. But they do run the risk of it collapsing, at which point, then guess what? The water backs up to your house. Now, what we need to do is our main objective. We need to find those drain fields. So what we're going to do is we're going to send the camera through each of those lines, hit the radio on it, boom, put a flag, find exactly where those drain fields are. So let's get the camera into the drain field lines and see where we're going.
Rigid.
Drain field 1. All right, we're gonna flag this one, and let's find number 2. Drain field number 2. Now that we have the drain fields located, we have to put everything back, which is gonna be a pain in the butt, but we have to put everything back, and then once we get done doing that, we're gonna talk a little bit about like what actually is going on and why this is important. As I said in the beginning, a lot of these pool companies keep putting pools on top of septic systems. Now, this has created a lot of problems in the septic world, and now the state's finally cracking down on these companies. And the reason why is because they keep destroying stuff. Septic systems, you need to have the full area to work with. And the reason why is the soil can be different from spot to spot to spot. When they do a perk test, the reason they're figuring out where the reserve area is based on the soil and the ability of that soil to accept water. Putting a pool in a spot that's designated for the septic could inadvertently put that particular homeowner into a position where now they've got to use an innovative system. If a traditional drain field's about like 20 grand, maybe if you have bad soil, now you're looking at a sand mound where now you're at 40 plus $1,000. So your pool could cost you double in the repair work of your drain field. That's why nowadays when you're putting in a pool, you're required to pull a permit, and that permit is supposed to have somebody like me, right, the septic guy, come in and say, this is exactly where everything is on the property. Do with that information as you will. We flag it all out, and in this particular circumstance, it's pretty close to the back door. So they may want to reconsider where they're putting their pool, so that way it's easier to walk out of the house and go right to it. There's a lot of different ways to do this. If you don't pull the permit, you do ultimately run the risks of fines, or if you get the county that really doesn't like playing nice, they might even make you rip it out. I've never really seen the county do that, but they technically can. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I have videos posted every day on the World of Well and Septic. If you are installing a pool, make sure you follow all the proper procedures and methods so that way you don't end up having a septic problem because you weren't paying attention to where your drain fields were. Till next time, guys.